It's a cross and it's come back and it's finding Ryan. What a save, and again! Oh, what a save! Double save from Ryan.
Wayne Rooney up against Ryan, right-footed, saved by the Albion keeper, low to his right-hand side. What a save that is, it's going right in the corner.
Bong ever watchful, picked up Ki Sung-young, striking chance, good save by Matty Ryan. De Bruyne Silva, that's neat. Aguero, crossing opportunity, brilliant, Jesus, great save, hits the post on the rebound. Ryan making an excellent save from a point-blank header. Flick on has found Zaha. Dunk has to be careful, and here's Benteke's there. Brilliant stop. Zaha's there. Another amazing stop from Ryan. Xhaka. Tierney to his left. Here he is. Alzate sold himself a little. Decent cross. There's the header, and Ryan pushes it away. Excellent stop. Goes the cross, Duffy missed it, and it comes out and a shooting chance. Good tip over by Ryan. Drives it to the edge of the area. Parks waiting and hits it. Good stop from Ryan. Firm hand.
Durham with it. Ryan has to get down to his right post.
Stuck back in by Rashford. Back post, brilliant save, brilliant double save by Matty Ryan. Two headers in quick succession there.
It's Doherty, lining one up. Doherty! Ryan with another good save. Here's Aubameyang. Oh, Aubameyang's in again. Brilliant run, Aubameyang. Good stop from Ryan.
Alrighty, firstly, Matt, thanks for joining us at the Regional Football Hub as our first special guest outside a regional area. We understand that you've been extremely busy and you've just come from another interview, so we do really appreciate you giving up your time to those in the country who can experience someone who's gone on and made it to the top level. So thank you for joining us, mate.
No worries. Thanks for having me on. And yeah, no matter obviously where we come from, always nice to help anyone I can out there. So hopefully can provide a bit of an insight.
Wonderful. How's isolation been going for you? You obviously come back home for a little bit. How have you been handling your time? And hopefully you've been able to get some relaxation time in the break.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously the reason I'm away is purposeful when obviously football is going on, and when that's taken away, there's no place I'd rather be than back here, closest to those who mean most. So due to the circumstance, obviously I tried to obviously get the first plane out of there once I was allowed or given permission to, and got back here and had to quarantine for 2 weeks in the hotel, but it was a nice prize at the end of it all to be out here and closer to everyone. And just tried to obviously abide by the guidelines, but spending time with my mum, my sister, and my grandparents here and there with the easing guidelines. So it's trying to make the most of it.
I love it. I know I've seen a couple of videos on social media. Who was happier to see you come in the front door, mate? Your family or your dog?
Always the dog. It's got a nice tradition with it that when I do come back, I always try sort of, come in to the property unannounced, so jumping over the fence and that, just to sort of have an element of surprise. But this time around, it was a first in the fact that she normally picks up a scent or she's outside and she hears me, but she was actually inside when I arrived the first time. And the way I was sort of sneaking around the house, my mother's window to the living room came up, and when I poked my head around, she was actually looking straight out that way. So she just saw my head pop out from around the corner, and she had no idea who it was. So she actually come out and was starting to run and bark, and she was coming at a rate, and I actually got a little bit scared. So I had to start calling her by her name and doing a couple of signals that helped her remember that it was me, and she quickly calmed down and realised it was me, and it all turned out all right. But I was a little scared there for a moment.
Oh, that's awesome.
I guess before we get into the football side of things, I know you're a big fan of the Parramatta Eels. Is rugby league your favourite sport? outside of football, obviously?
Yeah, I'd say aside from football, I love all sports, golf, tennis, everything. But probably the one I'm most a fanatic of is the Parramatta Eels and rugby league. Just growing up Western Sydney and all that from a young kid, just had a real passion for them and supporting them. So hopefully the season doesn't play another game and we can be crowned champions because we're top of the ladder at the moment. So it would be nice if we're the premiers, So
How many rants have you had from managers that are Fergie like or Neil Warnock like? Any you can share?
Oh.
It's either not many or a lot.
No, not many. Not many, to be honest. I think that's probably been more an old school manager type of approach, where they sort of, not afraid to let you have it a little bit. This day and age, players are sort of getting all the power more so with the wages and all that within a club. So it's all about obviously supporting players these days and keeping them mentally fresh. So I think you find a lot of the coaches these days are a lot more supportive in that aspect. I don't think you don't really achieve much by putting anyone down, or it's not good for anyone's confidence. But I'm just trying to think. Always when I'm put on the spot, I always find it hard to come back to remember. But I'd have to say a couple of Ange Postecoglou's rants at times where we haven't been doing what he's asked of us. Probably are up there with the dressing downs that we've had or the sprays that we've copped. But aside from that, I can't really think of one that stands out too much, to be honest.
Fair enough. Who's some of the best practical jokers you've had in squads that you've been involved in, and how do you fit as a practical joker in your squad?
Wait, I've got to clarify. Like practical jokers, or like, do I have to think that they're a good practical joker? Because there's a difference.
Fair enough.
But,
the ones that try the hardest to be the practical jokers.
I'd say Ryan McGowan in his time. Not that it's over, but obviously he hasn't been in recently. He can make a comeback. He loves the sound of his own voice and he's quite chirpy and that. Martin Boyle as well. He's quite a loud character and he's always having a laugh and all that. It's a bit funny, obviously, hearing it coming from a Scottish accent. We're not used to that in the Australian national team too much. But that's a little bit funny. But I'd definitely say those two are up there.
Do you have a strict routine heading into games, like something that you have to do every time before you play?
Yeah, I like to get into a routine, in regards to my preparation. It obviously starts with eating well and, good night's sleep. I do a bit of a run on game day as well in the morning just to limber up a little bit, and a bit of a roll on the foam roller, and a bit of a stretch and stuff just to help me feel nice and limber and ready to go. And that's the extent of it really. Then obviously we have like sort of certain protocols we got to fulfill in terms of the pre-match meal and a team meeting and those types of things before being ready to go.
Do you have a favourite pre-match meal, or is it more what's sort of served up for you? Or?
Sort of, we get the same foods on a pre-match meal. I sort of tend to go for a bit of a chicken and avocado sandwich, and then I have a little bit of wholemeal pasta and a bit of peanut butter on toast to finish. That's generally what I go for, and it gives me plenty of energy for the game.
What's your favourite food in the off-season when you don't have to worry about your routine?
Wow. I'm gonna say an acai bowl.
Hey.
It's I'm all about the healthy eating, and I don't know. I don't really enjoy too much a big hamburger or pizza these days or anything. I don't know. I find comfort in fueling my body with good food, and I don't know, makes me feel at ease a little bit. So probably a few people will cringe towards that answer, but there's nothing better than a fresh acai bowl with some fruit, and you can't forget the dollop of peanut butter. So
quality.
Love it. Small house party you're having. Who are the first people that you do invite, and who's a couple that you don't invite?
Well, within the Socceroos?
No, anyone.
Anyone in
you
football.
can't have the COVID Brighton players in. right now.
I wouldn't plan on that anyway. You know, they picked it up, but yeah, I'd have to say some of my closest mates you would probably know as well. They play in the A League, but you know, I'd say Anthony Caceres, Nick Fitzgerald, Bernie Abini. I would say Pej Bojic as well. Mile Stajowski I would have round as well as the peacekeeper. Kieran Poor plays for Manly in the New South Wales Premier League. I would say they're probably my first to invite around. Not to invite around. Good question. I'd invite around Musti Amini as well. He's good value with his life and entertainment.
We're going to the big party.
Yeah. Well, how many people constitute a small house party?
5 at the moment.
5? Yeah, we'll keep it at that. Who I wouldn't like to have around? Trying to think. I mean, there's not too many people I sort of dislike, or you know, I think I'm pretty sociable, so I can sort of get with anyone. But you know, I'll go in and say Tom Rogic. Me and him sort of have a love-hate relationship, you know, and we're either getting on well or we're you know, at each other's throats. So it can be quite volatile if he was going to be at the house party. So I'll leave it that way.
Love it.
For those who watched the Damn United, it was probably the first time they heard of Brighton-Hove. So a lot of people only found out about Brighton-Hove because Matt Ryan played for him. What's good to do in Brighton-Hove?
Yeah, it's a coastal town down in the south, about an hour and a half south of London. It's got its own little atmosphere. I guess a little bit more similar to, I guess, that of the Entrance on the Central Coast in terms of size. The Entrance is, I guess, more a holiday destination, but I'd say Brighton-Hove is a little bit busier all year round, being a bit more residential and stuff. So it's an alternative type of place, so a little bit like a new town in Sydney. You got sort of a lot of you know, veganism is around. These sort of new hip alternative styles and all these types of things, and nice cafe and restaurant scene, and a few bars and pubs and all that type of thing, and you know, shopping centre down there as well. So it's got its own little atmosphere, and you know, quite easygoing area. And you know, everyone always says if you live in the UK, you want to live somewhere sort of on the south coast, further away from up north, where it gets a little bit colder, windier, and so it's a nice little area. Oops.
What are you doing there, mate?
Yeah, I'm going AWOL.
It's a bit like your goalkeeping. Drop the ball, mate.
Oh, come on, mate. Easy up.
You mentioned that you had the 2-week quarantine at your hotel room. How did that go?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, there's been a lot of publicity out there of how much torture it is for some people and all that. But you know, I know everyone, you know, is always talking about positive mentality these days, but you know, I adopted that, and I didn't find it too bad. You know, just trying to stay proactive and productive with my time. You know, in a routine, make use of technology with TV series and FaceTime and Zoom, and you know, catching up with friends and family, and a bit of TV, some movies in between, just finding the balance, and just doing a few home workouts and those types of things to stay fit, and you know, try to keep some level of conditioning. So just a little bit of balance of all that, and some good night's sleep, and you know, still managed to eat clean and not let myself go too badly. So you know, time passed by not too badly, and you know, I had the prize at the end of the day of getting out and seeing friends and family. So that was definitely, you know, a motivating factor.
I'm just going to show Sharon here, just a FIFA card. You see that?
It's just, oh yeah, I can now, yep.
Yeah. Do you agree with your FIFA stats, or should we write in DA Sports and complain?
I'd probably be quite happy, but you know, I think I've got a bit more speed than that card portrays. You know, someone, I guess, with the characteristics that I have as a goalkeeper, being a bit smaller and lower sense of gravity, you obviously got to be a little bit sharper and quicker. So have to, I guess, do some things in order to get that attribute up on the card. So aside from that, not too happy, not too disappointed with it.
I think the fellow that does the speed is going to get sacked. That's a common one coming up, actually.
Yeah. Well, what's next?
A few of the other, the boy Ryan Grant was the same. He was saying he wasn't happy with his speed. Everyone seems to say speeds. They're not happy.
Jacob Tratt wasn't happy either.
Is it? I think it's maybe that stereotype that Australians can't play football. So, perhaps they think we can't run or something like that. And I don't know what nationality the makers of the game are or that does all the stats, but maybe they got it against us. But we'll have to, prove them wrong, I guess.
Do you play much FIFA?
I actually don't. I stopped playing quite a while ago. I used to smash it as a kid growing up, but when I went to Valencia, I wanted to learn the language, and I thought, I'm not going to take my PlayStation because, I'd be distracted. So I left it behind, and I haven't really played it since then, to be honest.
Fair enough.
Obviously, we spoke about before, speaking to others as well. You seem like, obviously, someone asks you to do something, hands down, you try and do it, you fit it all in. How do you manage being able to do all that? And you find it as a great asset?
You mean like in the structuring of like interviews and all this stuff as well? Like,
yeah, everything, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, just I guess as a kid growing up, one of the morals you learn is try treat people how you'd like to be treated. So I'm always trying to I guess do that. Pay respect to everyone out there. You got to pick and choose because obviously I'm not trying to put myself on a pedestal or anything and saying that I'm a wanted person in wanting to do everything, but I do get a few requests out there, and you just try and pick and choose and do ones that can, I guess, reach the greater public, or you do favors for friends and all these types of things. So I'm just trying to always be what's the word? Acknowledging people and trying to be useful with my time and help others as well. Live life to the fullest, and maybe through my own experiences and journey, I can maybe inspire to help them reach their full potential as well and live life to the fullest.
I used to be a goalkeeper once upon a time. I started as a wannabe striker, like most goalkeepers do, generally speaking, and then was a goalkeeper. How did it work for you in terms of becoming a goalkeeper?
Funny story. My next door neighbour, we grew up playing together just in the local leagues, and at the age of 10, his father had a bit of experience in soccer, football, and had a little bit of a stint playing representative. So he had it in his mind from a real young age that, when his kids were at a real young age, that he wanted to try train them in order to help them reach their full potential. So they were off pursuing like representative football from the first age that they could. So he left the team at the age of 10 and went and played for a representative team. But whilst he was still my neighbour, he used to go training down at the park, and all his boys used to be, outfield players, and, were doing exercises with shooting on goal. And he used to ask me to come down and just jump in goal as a goalkeeper. And I was a little bit of a natural. And that same season, their goalkeeper up and left and moved into state. And just from that, he asked if I wanted to go down for a trial. And, I had a why not attitude, and I went down there. And it's pretty naive of me at the moment. But in the moment that when the coach asked me where my goalkeeper gloves were, I told him that my mum said she'll buy me a pair if I make the team. So probably wasn't the smartest thing to say in the moment, but after that training session, they said I was in the team, and sure enough, I got my first pair of goalkeeper gloves, and it all started from there.
Cool. Love it. I remember doing a little bit of work with JC and Tony, and JC just said a comment that stuck out about when he was working on your left foot, and then one day you just said, you know what, JC, I think my left foot is as good as my right. It feels the same. How was that for you, coming from obviously preferred right foot to being able to hit both feet?
Yeah, well, just when I was growing up as a kid, it was getting more and more acknowledge the fact that I guess, football players, goalkeepers included and all that, if you're able to be two-footed, it's an extra skill, you can add to your game, something that could set you apart from the rest. So, I obviously tried to work hard on that when I was young. Just, like any aspect you work on, the more you practice it, hopefully that results in, the better you become. And, something that I feel quite comfortable to use these days. And, it's a real asset come on the pitch when, you got the ball and you can sort of shift it either side and, have enough confidence and comfort to play a pass off either one and helps me, contribute to whoever I'm representing, especially with the way the game is going at the moment as well. A lot more, the style we see these days is trying to play out from the back in a passing game. So that's helped me quite a lot, with the modern game today.
And how important, I suppose, is it, a lot of the goalkeepers I coach, and you've sort of touched on it, how important it is for them to continually practice? Is it a confidence thing because they know they can hit it on their right foot that they don't go away and practice so much on their left? Or how do we sink into them to really go away and keep driving at their non-preferred foot?
Yeah, I just think acknowledgement of it in the first place is in something you want to be working on, and then, persistence with it. Trial and error. You just got to keep, trialing it and learning from, I guess, the errors where you're unable to do it in order to, hopefully progress and then obviously improve along the way until you get to a level where you do feel comfortable. And, you got to get out of your comfort zone of just playing off the one foot. And, it's sort of that approach to anything in life. Once you get out of your comfort zone, that's generally where a lot of growth happens and a lot of improvement happens, in all facets of life. So, it's the same with wanting to improve a certain aspect of goalkeeping or, a striker or anything. You gotta work on it, and you gotta, apply yourself to it, and, keep sticking with it and sustaining the training and, all the methods that are going to help you get to the level you want to reach. And, by that approach, I'm sure you're going to, I think in my own experiences, that approach has been the thing that's worked best for me to arrive where I've wanted to arrive with certain aspects of my game and certain aspects of my life.
Yep.
Again, I was an average goalkeeper, but part of my problem was I always wanted to be the hero, right? So when the other strikers had the ball, I'd wanted to be the defender because I wanted to make a save. The problem was I didn't make the save often enough. I don't have a career like you do.
No.
Well, what's the mindset for you like when you're playing in terms of that? I know you wrote a little while ago about the respect you show to a player, and you had some reflections on that. What's the mindset for you when you're playing in that regard as a goalkeeper, balancing, I guess, being the hero, or I guess if you do your job effectively and defenders do, keeping a clean sheet, how does that sort of balance for you?
Yeah, I mean, my motivation is off being successful in winning games and winning trophies. And, I'm always looking at, when goals are conceded and all those things, where we can do better, whether it's me individually or, tactically or communication-wise, where I could have given information or, whatever. I mean, I'd much rather obviously stop the situation as far away from goal as possible and me not have to make a save rather than me having to pull out a last-ditch save. Obviously, much like scoring a goal for a striker is the be-all and end-all for a striker, I guess, or what they're judged on. Making a last-ditch save for a goalkeeper, one you're not expected to make is the best scenario. But I think the drive to want to win is what I guess motivates me more so than wanting to pull off a hero moment myself. So I much prefer being organised tactically to help prevent, I guess, goal scoring opportunities to the opposition is the approach I'd prefer to take.
You touched on obviously different styles of play and how you want to be coming out and preventing something before you have to exactly make a save. How do you balance that between the national team and Brighton? So obviously a little bit of a deeper line with Brighton, and then especially in the days under Ange when he was really wanting to play a high line, and you had to slowly come into the national team and be right behind your defence outside your box? How do you manage the two?
It's a good question, and probably something that not a lot of people, I guess, grasp. There is a certain skill to a player having a level of adaptability, and the better you can obviously be at that skill, whether, like you say, you're changing from domestic football to international football, or even when there's a change of manager, or you transfer yourself to a new team, the quicker you can adapt and change, the better it's going to do for you individually. And playing different styles within the national team and then back at your club, requires that skill to be in effect. And ultimately, you just got to do the best you can to absorb the information from the coaching staff and what he wants from you as the goalkeeper within the team and within the tactics, and try to apply them to the best that you can. So, the more adaptable you can be and fulfill the roles in which, are laid out by the manager, probably the better chance you're going to have seeing your name on the team sheet, as often as possible. So, like you say, there's certain aspects with the deeper line at Brighton and, with the style of football, depending on the team you're playing against, obviously, but a lot more, long balls played into the box and, the deeper line, perhaps, in Brighton, there's a lot more bigger defenders and, strikers, and the knowingness that the referees let things go a lot more than in other countries. And I think the players in England, they don't give up things as easily as in other leagues. So when a high ball's coming into the box and there's a shout of keeper or whatever, I think in other leagues, more often than not, the other players hear the call and just sort of give up on it, thinking it's the keeper's ball. Whereas in England, they recognise, I feel like it's still an opportunity where they can, create something from it by giving a nudge at the right time for it not to be deemed by the referee that it's illegal, and that there could be a second phase play that would happen or something like that. And I think they're a lot more switched on in that aspect than, I guess, other leagues, and a lot more physical in that aspect than other leagues. And, not everyone, there's a lot of details within the game that, influence the decision-making of the goalkeepers and players within the league that I guess not everyone can sort of grasp and understand unless, you've had experiences, I guess, within the game. But that definitely influences the decision. And perhaps within the national team, and you're playing other oppositions, throughout Asia, smaller nations and all that, they tend to let things go. They sort of give up things a little bit earlier, and, you can sort of come out and be that little bit more proactive. And with a higher line, you've got less traffic in front of you in a high ball situation, to come out and claim it. Because, even when you've got your own defenders there in front of you, if you clatter into them, that's not a foul, it's play on. And in England, especially the team I play for, I feel like the central defenders, even if you call as the keeper to come, they don't always necessarily leave the ball. They still contest it and these types of things. So all these things are taken into account when I'm trying to make split-second decisions on the field and the reasoning behind some of my decisions. And, it's quite easy that obviously commentators and everyone watching the game thinks, why didn't he do that? Or why didn't he come for this? And all these types of things. But, there is a thought process behind all the decisions. And, in the perfect world, I think every goalkeeper, player, whatever, would love to score every time they shoot, would love to come and catch every ball that comes into the box and all that. But, there's a number of things that eventuate within a game that, through experiences of not prevailing in those moments and having made mistakes and having tried to learn from them, that, we don't decide to be that proactive in that moment or, whatever, you're always constantly trying to learn and, you're always being asked questions at the highest level, and, the margin for error is always so minimal if there is a margin. So you're always trying to do the best that you can, and it's just fine margins in across the whole board.
Yep.
Cool. How did you find going from A-League to Spain, and then obviously you've landed in EPL, in terms of handling or your views on the different styles of football that are across the leagues that you've played in?
Just through a matter of rolling up the sleeves and going with it. There's no, in my opinion, the way you approach life, there's no other alternative than to roll up your sleeves and roll with the punches and overcome whatever you face. When you make mistakes, when perhaps you're not in your best form or whatever. You can't wave the white flag and let it get the better of you and give up, so to speak. And, it's that same approach I have with life as it is to my football. Always just trying to have that growth mindset and learn from experiences and use those experiences in then my present and future to help, hopefully my present and future go better for me and help me create as many lifelong memories through being successful and, help me lead the most fulfilling life that I can lead. And that's the approach I have. And I felt that has worked for me now and has helped me get to the level that I'm at. And I think it's an important trait to have as a person and I guess a professional athlete moving forward to help you, fulfill your potential that you got.
Well, as we know, the Olympics has been postponed to next year, and our under-23s team qualified with 3 overage players allowed. Are you looking at one of those spots potentially?
Yeah, definitely. I don't know when it's going to fall in terms of, I think this year, if it didn't get postponed, it was going to be the last weekend of July and the first weekend of August, which was going to be pretty close to the season restarting in England. And, we were going to have the Copa America this year also, and we're going to have qualifying games on top of that. So, I'm not going to say no. I'm definitely interested in going, and it would be something that I'd love to be a part of. But I also need to obviously look at the bigger scheme of things and make a decision, to help me be able to, play at my top form along, for as long as I can. So, but yeah, definitely interested in it. Any chance to represent your country, and that's something so unique, like an Olympics, would be, unreal. So definitely got the hand half raised at the moment. Just needed a few more facts before I put it up the full way.
Love it.
And you mentioned the Copa America there. Was that something, well, obviously the Socceroos are all looking forward to?
Yeah, definitely. Anytime, that's what I love about playing in the Premier League and playing international football at World Cups and that. Any opportunity to test yourself against the best, the bigger the challenge, the bigger the adversity, the more, the sweeter the triumph, the bigger the triumph. So coming up against, some of the best teams in the world, some of the best players in the world, and some of the best stadiums and atmospheres in the world, which from what I've seen on social media and all that, and, Google and all these things that, the atmospheres and crowds they get at, some of these South American nations, and that aside, some of the football that some of the nations from there produce, I was very much looking forward to that tournament as well and testing ourselves there and, seeing the growth that we would have had by, participating in it, something that I was really looking forward to. And hopefully it's something that we can get, the privilege of taking part in next year when it rolls around. It's just obviously the uncertainty now with, international games and then, having to play catch up with the World Cup qualifiers, if it's going to go ahead or not. There's lots of rumours flying around, so we'll see what happens.
Cool.
Going to take a little step back in your debut for Central Coast. Massive achievement at the time. How did you bounce back? Obviously, small error in that game led to a goal. How did that affect mentally and then for you to go on and have a good season and secure your starting spot?
Yeah, like I sort of said, in the approach to errors and sort of any adversity you face, you can't throw in the white towel. You just got to, stay resilient and keep pushing through and keep learning from everything. That first game there in Sydney, I was a bit in awe of everything and a bit starstruck, a little bit like to a certain aspect, a deer in headlights, the first game that's on foot, on TV, everyone's watching, a crowd of 15,000 or something like that. It was the first time I obviously hadn't played, I guess, a park football game with a crowd of maybe 1,000 or if that. So that was a little bit of a surreal feeling. And I remember quite well the cross that came in, and I caught away because it was quite a low cross, and it was Patrick Svanswijk that was sort of in our new post, a right central defender. No, well, Alex Wilkinson is our right central defender, but I think in that moment, maybe Alex Wilkinson had been drawn out or for whatever reason. I remember Patrick Svanswijk being in that near post zone, and it was sort of a low cross that came in in between sort of keeper and defender, and I caught away in the moment, hoping that he would clear it, but then he let it go, and then it was obviously going to be close to me, and yeah, I was probably playing a little bit of a catch up, having caught away, hoping that he was going to clear it. I wasn't quite ready to, make a technical, I guess, cut out from a cross in that moment, and yeah, had a fumble, and obviously they scored and whatnot. But it was a learning curve, and tried to learn from it, and yeah.
So you played almost 300 games since you started at Blacktown City, and then almost got a goal when you took a penalty against Western City Wanderers. Do you look back and regret that one, or are you still putting your hand up for the next penalty to put a goal next to your stats as well?
Yeah, I mean, I don't regret it. Obviously, I was back to my ability in that moment to do what was hopefully needed to be done. I wanted to contribute to hopefully our team winning, and I made my decision. Probably, in hindsight, which is a wonderful thing. I could have done better. Obviously, it wasn't a goal. Could have done a couple of things differently, but it was what it was. If the opportunity arose again, I'm not too sure what I would do. But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'll probably, put that down to something that I've learned from, and hopefully be better for the opportunity next time it came along. So yeah, I'll probably have that approach.
I love the intent. I mean, Chilivert was one of my favourite goalkeepers. So
yeah,
I love the bravery to say, "Hey, I'm going to go take one."
Yeah, I mean, like you say, everyone's human and it's part of the game. But yeah, it wasn't my fondest moment, but that's part of the journey, and it's what shapes you as a person, and just fuels you to want to do even better when you have a setback like that, I guess. So that's how I chose to have dealt with that situation.
I back you up. If there's one for Brighton,
Yeah.
straight up there and take it.
Yeah. There's a few in front of me, I think, on the takers. I'll let them go ahead and do that. But if I'm called upon, I'm there and I'm willing. So
love it.
Cool.
I guess if you could sum it up into one thing, what do you think the biggest challenge of your career has been so far?
One thing. I think it's production. That constant. It's a word of trying to word it in a way. Not expectation, but the challenge of needing and wanting to produce, to the level that I feel I can produce is probably the biggest challenge, and the consistency I'm wanting to do that. Everyone would love to be man of the match every game and steal the headlines and, be the best contributing player all the time. And I guess that's, those moments I've had of triumphs where I've done well, making saves, winning games against opposition, all those type of things. They're the best moments, and it's that sort of ecstasy that I guess is the motivating factor in what you do and why you strive to achieve that feeling all the time. So just the challenge of producing your full potential and that to be contributing to the success of your team is probably been the biggest challenge that I faced in the career until now.
You speak about obviously challenges and media and things over in the big league EPL, 10 pages of each paper is about football. Are you someone who picks a paper up and reads it, or how do you cope with the media and obviously so much coming out?
Yeah, like you see some things here and there. I think it's difficult not to these days unless you're totally off social media and you don't buy a paper or anything like that. It's pretty rare if you're that type of person these days. But, I mean, I don't really actively go out and look at anything. I think through your experiences, you quickly learn that you got to listen to the opinions of those closest to you and those that want the best for you, because there's quite, the world's an opinionated world, and they're not, they think quite rashly. That's not trying to stereotype everyone, but that's just sort of the majority out there. There are exceptions, obviously, and people that really understand it and all that. But that's sort of been the method that's I felt has treated me well. And the funny thing I find though is that I always have the expectation of my own levels that I set for myself. And, I'm my own harshest critic. So, if there's someone out there that's not agreeing, then 99% of the time, I'm not happy with it myself. So it sort of ticks itself off, if I'm doing, if I'm feeling that I'm doing something to the best of my ability and I felt like I've done well in moments, it quite often ticks the boxes of what I guess the external noise wants from you as well. So there's no one out there that has higher expectations than myself. So it's just a nice little how do I say it, like coupled, it sort of ticks it off the list by me producing what I want to do with my own expectations. And then if I'm doing that to the level that I want to do, then that ticks off the expectations for, I guess, external pressure and all that types of things. So I've never really focused on it. I've just focused on the levels that I set for myself, and the rest of that other stuff, if I'm doing my job well, sort of looks after itself.
Yep.
I guess you've played at 2 World Cups now and against players like Mbappe, Alexis Sanchez, quality Spanish team. Who's probably the best player you've come up against in your career, both national and club?
Lionel Messi. I was part of that pretty memorable game where Barcelona beat Valencia 7-0 when Gary Neville was in charge. And found out the hard way just how good Messi, Suarez and Barcelona are that night. So, as a shock to the system that night was, I tried to adapt that growth mindset and, learn from that occasion. And, I can't wait for the next opportunity I have against, hopefully, that team or those players to show how far I've come from there and what I learnt from there. And, confidence and belief in myself that I've got what it takes to be able to contribute to the team that would, I'd be representing coming up against the likes of them again to hopefully come out on top a few more times than that previous occasion.
Who's been your biggest mentors that have helped you along the way since you were at Blacktown City?
Can you say that?
Bozza.
Bozza.
I'm going to answer it.
This would be great.
Bozza, how are you, mate? Yeah, good, thanks. I'm just actually doing a Zoom meeting with a bunch of guys from Football New South Wales and that goalkeeping members. Yeah. I'm going to put you on. I'm going to put you on loudspeaker because they're all goalkeepers and all that. Tony Franken organised it for me. So.
All right. Well, tell them I love them all. I'm just about to go on air, but I just want to know because somebody said he's still in Australia. I said no, he left at May 1st.
No, I got extended, so still here at the minute. I'm due to go back tomorrow, but that might change again. So.
All right.
But I'll give you a call a bit later on, mate, if you need it. All right, mate. Bye. There you go.
Love it. Special guest.
Yeah.
So I was just mentioning about mentors. Is Bozza a mentor? I mean, what mentors have you had since you were at Blacktown City to help you along the way, especially the big move when you went overseas?
Probably my biggest is my family, my mum, with the respect, not the respect I was going to say, with, the advice she obviously gave me and the morals and characteristics that she and the rest of the family help instill within me, to help, I guess, me live the most fulfilling life that I could live was probably the most importance, sort of engraving those roots into me, because that's obviously the cornerstone of who I am. But then, outside of that, the likes of John Crawley as a youngster being my first major, goalkeeping coach, I was a product of his goalkeeping methods and, set me up for the style of goalkeeper that I am. Bozza was probably a little bit before my time as a youngster when I started watching the national team. It was more Schwarzer in my youth, who was the, number one goalkeeper and national team, and obviously in the Premier League that I remember more fondly. So Schwarzer was a mentor of mine as well. And I would say Iker Casillas as well. Growing up, obviously not being so tall and that was always a doubt a lot of people had whether I would be, good enough because of my lack of height and those sorts of things. And someone like Casillas that had similar characteristics in terms of like physicality, and someone that was obviously producing at the highest level for one of the biggest, if not the biggest clubs in the world, quickly made him a mentor and an idol as well.
Yeah, cool. In the EPL specifically, do you see any difference between how Australians are viewed as compared to the European, South American players? Do you have to do more to earn respect as being an Australian coming in, or football speaks for itself?
No, definitely. I mean, everyone, because Australia's so far away and I guess such a big sporting nation in a number of sports, don't quite, I guess, pay them or pay us the respects, that I don't know if we can say we deserve, because you obviously still got to go out there and prove yourself. But yeah, I mean, you're definitely behind the eight ball, I guess, being an Australian. The challenge, wanting to go over to Europe, the big leagues, and make a career out of it and reach your obviously full potential. And with the visa rules and all that's there, you got to really be excelling in order for a club to want to take a chance on you, where they could obviously be filling these types of spots with other foreigners and stuff. So you definitely got your work cut out for you. But like I said, the bigger the challenge, the better the triumph when you're able to overcome it.
Excellent.
Most of our audience are regional footballers or parents or whatever. Have you noticed anything different with regional players, maybe such as Ryan Grant, Nathan Burns, Josh Kennedy, players along those lines?
Yeah, they're all great guys. But, always the Australian national team has always been a good group. Professional, everyone getting along with one another. It hasn't always been the case at club teams, different little groups and all these types of things. But I think the Australian mentality, everyone being mates and all those types of things, we've always got along with one another. Something that sets the regional players apart from, I guess, more, city slickers, or so to speak. Not too sure, other than the fact that I guess when we travel home, they've got further to travel to go home to get back to Australia. But no, we're all good people, and we've all got good traits of characteristics and all those things.
What would be some advice you'd have for young aspiring young players that are wanting to try and emulate what you've done in your career plus other professional players?
I think to enjoy what you're doing. That's life at the end of the day. If you're not enjoying what you're doing, then you're probably not going to be leading the most fulfilling life and joyful life that you can be having. So I think that's the most important thing. And, if you get to a level where it starts to become a profession, obviously there's lots of pressures and all that come with it, and you can quickly lose sight of that enjoyment factor. So I would say, you got to want to enjoy and have fun in what you're doing in chasing your dream. And I think if you're doing that, then the drive and determination and sacrifice and all that, becomes second nature really when all that's part of it. So I'd say that'd probably be my advice.
Pretty good advice.
Is there any other advice for young goalkeepers coming through, or like how important is confidence for them, etc., to become the next Matt Ryan? I know we need to continue to develop more young goalkeepers. Anything for them to go out and especially work on?
I just think the quicker you realise or recognise, the more of yourself that you can give to whatever, dream you have, or whatever you're chasing, or whatever you're wanting to achieve. I think that's the most efficient way in order to go out and achieve that goal, whether it's football, goalkeeper, whatever. So, like I said, if it's in goalkeeping terms, the more sacrifices you can make in order to train harder, train more often, practice more, work on every aspect that's obviously required, and have that determination and that drive to be the best that you want to be, and stop at nothing to get there. Then I think that's what's going to give people the best opportunity to be the best goalkeeper that they can become, and the best at anything that any individual wants to become. You don't get anywhere without hard work. Full stop is the first step. So I think that would be my advice.
Just before we wrap up, 2 quick fire questions. Best moment in your career so far?
Winning the Asian Cup final, first major trophy for us as a nation. So that takes the cake.
And the second one, which we've asked everyone so far, Messi or Ronaldo? Which side are you on?
It's one of those things where they're both different players, so why can't we just appreciate the both of them for how good they are? On the
Love it.
You're worried to jump in this time, Liam, aren't you?
Yeah, no. If life or death moment, you got to choose one, Matty.
I'll say Messi because I played him, so I've witnessed that in person. So, yeah.
One more to the Messi tally, Yatesy.
All right, mate. We certainly appreciate your time today with talking to us, and we certainly, I'm sure it'll be really insightful for all the regional contacts that we have that are listening to our football hub. So thanks very much. We certainly hope that things become clear soon and you can get back playing in the EPL. So we certainly appreciate your time. Best of luck. Thanks very much.
No worries, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on, guys. And wishing you all the best moving forward. Hopefully I provided something, a nice insight for all the listeners and viewers. And thanks for your wishes, and stay safe, stay healthy, and look forward to maybe catching up again in the future.
Beautiful.
Awesome. Thanks, Matt. Take care, mate.
Bye.
Thanks, Matt. Thank you.
Take care. See you later.
Bye.